So good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Benefits Trust Zoomcast. It's always exciting to be here. On behalf of all of us at the Benefits Trust, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you for spending the next hour with us. We greatly appreciate it. Lindsay Gibson is with us from the Benefits Trust. She's in the house. My son, Rob Crowder, Jordan Bolhos is in the house, as well as Carrie Lane and Mike Ignatz, I think, is here. Yep, there's Mike. So participating today, we want you to raise your hand and tell me that I'm crazy, tell me that I'm wrong, tell me all these wonderful things. Just raise your hand or throw something in the chat box so everybody can see. So if you have questions or thoughts or concerns, just throw them in the chat box, and then Mike or Lindsay or Carrie or Jordan or Rob will answer those queries if you would. But let's do it so everybody can see, because we set up these Zoomcasts and we set them up some time ago. And the idea was not to be the smartest person in the room, but to be in a room where everybody gets smarter. And that's really the philosophy. I've been in the insurance business for probably 35 years now. And, we share information in this industry, and this is what it's about today. It's about sharing information. So we would greatly appreciate it if you had your cameras on. I know it's, somewhat early in the morning, depending on where you are. Simon's working out, I see, which is awesome. He's in BC, and he's already on the treadmill. He likes to walk about 5 kilometers or 6 kilometers during these sessions. So it's awesome, but please turn your cameras on because we'd love to see you. Participating today, you're going to get a CE credit. You're going to get it signed up for our Trusted Advisor newsletter as well. If you don't already receive that comes out every single month. I think we're up to 130 consecutive months or 135 consecutive months. As well as that, we're going to send you a real short survey, and that survey is going to tell us how we did today and help us do it better tomorrow. As well as that, it also gives us ideas on what we want to cover in future, or what you want to see covered in future Zoomcasts. And actually, this session today came out of an idea that one of you folks had, or a couple of you folks had, and gave us feedback. So again, it's one of those things that we want to create value. We want to create value for you. So I'm going to share my screen right now. Just bear with me, and let me share my screen, and let's get into this because we got a lot to cover today. So today we want to talk about administration services, or ASO, because we use a lot of TLAs in this business. So 3-letter acronyms. So we want to talk about ASO versus a traditional fully insured type of solution for smaller groups. So that's what our subject is. And again, that's feedback that we received from you. You guys wanted to see a session on this. So that's what we're doing today. So we want to talk about what the best solution is. What is the best solution? We want to talk about factors that lead the client to the best solution. We want to talk about assessing risk tolerance. We want to talk about myths and misconceptions with respect to ASO. We want to talk about essential reporting, plan design flexibility. We want to share with you a couple of case studies, and I know we're going to go through those pretty quick, but I think what we'll do is send this out to you afterwards when Mike sends out the CE credits. As well as that, we want to talk about questions, answers, discussions. So we want to make this interactive. So again, if you got a question, please raise your little emoji hand, number 1, and number 2, throw it in the chat box so everybody can see. We'd greatly appreciate it. A little bit about the Benefits Trust. We started on January 1st, 1994. We're a full-service third-party administration company. We're the largest independently owned TPA in Canada, so we're pretty excited about that. We provide custom employee benefit solutions to our end-user clients through advisors like you. Okay, so through advisors like you, we provide custom employee benefit solutions. We have exceptional client experience. We do the 5% extraordinarily well, and we talked about that in the past. But what I like to say is everybody does the 95% well. Like, the claims come in, they get paid, but what we do is we answer the phone. What makes us different is we answer the phone and we deal with things in real time when there's an issue. So often, or not often, but occasionally there's an issue with a billing statement. Occasionally there's an issue, with a claim. Great. You pick up the phone, somebody picks up the phone, you get a live person, and we solve the problem. I was on the phone and internet for hours and hours and hours trying to cancel a service with Rogers. I finally got fed up and just stopped paying. But it took me literally 4 hours dealing with Rogers to cancel the service, and it was the worst experience. We do the 5% extraordinarily well. We've got long-term relationships with all the major insurance carriers and service suppliers, and our target market is working with advisors like you with 1 to 100 employees. We do have a lot of larger clients, But again, our target market is there because that's where the market is. These are our opinions. These are my opinions because, we put this presentation together and we're doing it. But I love to have conversations with smart people that disagree. So again, if you've got an idea or thought or something you want to share, please let me know or let us know. Traditional funding versus ASO funding. It's interesting. I've been doing this, as I mentioned, for over 30 years with the Benefits Trust. And I try to put it in one slide. And this slide is very much client forward. Pardon me, it's very much client forward to talk about what the difference between traditional funding and ASO funding is in a very simplified format. But we've got traditional funding on the left. You got a client promise, and we'll talk more about that in a moment, but a client promise, an employee benefit plan, what the client is promising the employees. And there's risk charges for insurance in that, plus the anticipated claims that the insurance company is anticipating that the client is going to have, or their employees are going to have, and their families are going to have, plus the plan operation expenses. And the plan operation expenses, include a number of things, including your commissions. And when you add those three things together, it equals the client's premiums, what they have to pay on an annual basis for that traditional funding for the group insurance promise that they are making their employees. ASO funding is very similar, but there's a distinct difference. It's the client, we take that exact same client promise. There are risk charges for the appropriate insurance protection that's in place, plus the actual claims, not the anticipated claims, plus the actual claims, plus plan operation expenses equals the client costs. So there's a gap. There's always a gap in between anticipated claims and actual claims. And that gap is real, and that gap often is larger than one might think. So that's the real difference, in my opinion, in a very simplified format, but to set the stage for traditional funding versus ASO funding. So traditional funding versus ASO funding, what's the answer? Here's the answer. If the client has quite simply, if the client has a short-term outlook on their benefit plan, a short-term outlook on their future, the traditional fully insured funding method is the best. You've got to shop the market. You've got to do that frequently. You've got to do that, at least every 2 years, possibly every 3 years, and you've got to look for the lowest price. And that's when the client has a short-term outlook. If the client has a long-term outlook, ASO is going to win every time. ASO is going to win 4 out of 5 years, and I'm talking every time over the long term. ASO is going to, win every time, and it's really about timing. It's not magic. It is not magic. But if the client has a short-term outlook, right, where you are or somebody is shopping every 2 or 3 years, traditional funding is the best. Longer-term outlook, ASO without a doubt is the best, regardless of the size of the client. Now, that being said, I remember something that Dave Patriar said in a meeting when I first met Dave. So it was many years ago, many years ago. And he said, what you need to do to, serve your clients the best. And I don't know if he still believes this is true today, but what you need to do is have 3 carriers and have a 30-year business with each carrier. And every 3 years, move it one to the left. Right. And just go around the circle, around the triangle, however you look at it. And, you're going to maximize your bonus. You're going to maximize your minimize the rates with those particular individual clients. And it's just going to work out extraordinarily well. Anyways, so my philosophy is the answer between traditional and ASO, short-term versus long-term. ASO wins every time. So what's the best solution? Well, it depends on the client. There's no such thing as one size fits all. It's like saying, what's better, red wine or white wine? What's better, Air Canada or Via Rail? What's better, a cargo van or a convertible? Well, it depends. It depends on a number of things. When I was putting this presentation together, it reminded me, when the kids were really young, we've got 3 kids in our, very active life. And I just remember my wife and I were getting away for 4 days. We arranged for babysitters and we were getting away for 4 days, and we decided to go to Quebec City. And I made the arrangements, and my wife said, when do we leave? And I said, I can't remember, but call it 9 o'clock. And she goes, oh, great. When do we get to Quebec City? She had no idea how far it was or wasn't thinking about it. And I said, we get to Quebec City at, 7 o'clock at night or 6 o'clock at night. And she goes, we're leaving at 9 and we get there at 6. What's going on? I said, we're taking Via Rail. This is going to allow you to sit down and not have to chase after 3 boys for, a day. This was part of the trip. So in that case, via rail was much better for our particular needs at that time. So what's the best solution? It depends. It depends on the client. So what factors lead the client to the best solution? What factors lead the client to the best solution? And these are no particular order, pardon me. Number one, business owners. They hate insurance companies. They really do. And I'm not talking about life insurance companies. I'm talking about all insurance companies. They hate insurance companies. Business owners hate paying increased insurance premiums, right? They hate paying increased insurance premiums. They really, really do. When they see you coming, they look at bad news in a suit, right? That's what you guys are, is bad news in a suit, right? It's funny. And I'm in that same boat, okay? So factors that lead to clients to the best solution is their profitability. Some clients are really profitable and others not so much. So it really depends on their profitability. Staff composition. What does their staff look like? You might only have 10 people in the company, but what's unique about them? What's their staff composition? And the other thing is they can't get what they want. A lot of times business owners hate paying for things that they can't, they hate paying for things and then they don't get what they want. It's one of those things that just drives them crazy. It's their psyche. Business owners hate insurance companies, and the answer to that is absolutely. Profitable business owners like to spend money on value. I've been saying this for years. And you look at all of you that are on this call, you're successful business owners, and you hate spending money on things that you don't receive value for. I do. I hate spending money on that. And I'm sure all of you do too. And a lot of business owners, when they look at it in the simplest form, they go, what's the value in dental insurance? We don't see that. There's no value in this. The other thing is they don't understand the math. It was interesting, and Anthony is, I don't think he's in the frame right now, but he's certainly here. But Anthony Faher, he's coming back. There's Anthony. Yep, just came back. Anthony Faher, they don't understand the math. And it was interesting. He did a session the other day at CGIB in Toronto, and he was talking about the renewal math. And Anthony was explaining it, and it was interesting. The questions in the room, a lot of people don't understand the math, and certainly a lot of clients don't understand the math. All right. It's they look at this and the math on a renewal, and it's confusing. It's confusing. And the other thing is, every time I submit a claim, the owner says, I don't get as much back as I think I should. Right. These are the things that I'm hearing in 35 years of selling group insurance and thousands upon thousands of meetings with clients. These are the things that I'm hearing. Client profitability. Profitable companies make choices rather than face decisions. Profitable companies are comfortable with making long-term decisions, that are based, that are future-term, long-term, future-based decisions. They're making investments in their future, as opposed to, if I do this, this is going to change today. They're looking at long-term solutions. Profitable companies value their employees' abilities and their expertise. And profitable companies are willing to invest in their employees. And it's a real mind shift when you've got a company that's really profitable or very profitable, because those companies are looking into the long term and looking for ways to increase their profitability, as opposed to, hey, we've got to make payroll this week. Different types of decisions. Staff compositions. Well, it's interesting. With executives, we always look at a 100% plan, and we can talk more about that at a later time. But how many executives are in the company? How many highly trained or licensed people are there? You look at the HVAC industry, they might only have 20 people in their company, but 16 of them are licensed, highly sought after people. How many professional staff are in the company? Seasonal staff, full-time staff, right? We've got a lot of companies. I live in Huntsville, Ontario. We got a lot of companies up here, that are going to hire a lot more people in the summer than they are in the winter. Does the company reward longevity in the organization? Is that something that's part of their makeup, part of their DNA? What's the family content? It's interesting. We've got our longest client we've had for 30 years. And I was out with the founder of the company golfing a couple of weeks ago. And they're having a family reunion in Greece this summer, and there's 60 people in the family coming to this family reunion, and that's just his family. And it's amazing. So what's the family content? In their plan alone, even though there's 60 people coming, some of the brothers' kids aren't involved in the business, but in the family plan, sorry, in the company's plan, there are 25 people that are related. So there's a huge family content. That's important. You know, language barrier is also important. These staff composition is important. Factors, these factors, you really want to know who your client is. You got to know who they are, where they're going, what they're thinking, what their corporate values are. And yeah, we're talking about traditional funding versus ASO. This is just understanding the client. You got to know who they are and where they're going and know what their values are to be able to suggest solutions that make sense. This is the point of this, is to be able to suggest to them solutions that make sense. You got to know who they are and where they're going, and you got to ask them the questions to make you know, understand what is the best solution. Assessing risk tolerance. This is one of my favorites. Assessing risk tolerance, right? You know, do you leave early for a flight, or do you wait for the last possible minute, you know, to arrive just in time? Let me ask you all those questions. What do? Do you arrive early for the flight, or do you wait for the last possible minute? Or what's the deductible on your car insurance? You know, how much you got a deductible. Okay, I don't care what kind of car you have. You've got a deductible, but you've also got another deductible up here. The deductible on your policy might be $5,000 or $500 or $1,000, but you've got another deductible up here that might be $5,000. Like what is your risk tolerance before you make a claim? And the more profitable you are, the more that risk tolerance is. But the answer to these questions doesn't matter. It's just a great way to start a conversation. You know, so do you leave early for a flight, or do you wait for the last possible moment? They answer the question, you go, great. It's not, you know, great. This creates conversation to start about risk tolerance in your company, right? And how do you mitigate risk with your clients? What is it that you do to mitigate risk with your clients? Because you all do it. And everybody does it differently, but you know, it's about mitigating risk, and it's assessing risk tolerance, right? Little sidebar, first economics exam I ever wrote in my life, first university exam I ever wrote in my life. First question on that macroeconomics 101 in my first university exam is, what's the purpose of a corporation? And I'm going, wow, okay, this is interesting. And I wrote a page of stuff down, but the answer was to maximize the value to its shareholders. As simple as that. They had a whole page that you could fill in, and the answer was to maximize the value to its shareholders, period. So the only way a business can be hurt is financially. The people inside it might be hurt, but the only way a corporation can be hurt is financially. So when we're assessing risk tolerance and, you know, people's views on risk tolerance, and more importantly, your clients or prospects' views on risk tolerance, it's important to relate it back to a dollar amount, because that makes sense. All of these types of conversations are going to lead you to understand what your client's risk tolerance is. Most clients and prospects believe that insurance companies protect against catastrophic, sudden, and unexpected events. I don't know if anybody on this call, there's 75 people on this call, I don't know if anybody on this call can dispute that. But most clients and prospects believe that insurance is there to protect against catastrophic, sudden, unexpected events. They know that. It's just a matter of the risk tolerance where things are catastrophic, where they're sudden or unexpected. You know, I could drop my pen on the ground and that's sudden, but it's not catastrophic. It might be unexpected, you know, it might be unexpected as well, but it's not catastrophic, right? If I go to Portugal, like I did a couple of weeks ago, Anthony and I were talking about it, but if I go to Portugal and then all of a sudden I come home and the car's stolen from my driveway, well, that's catastrophic. You know, that's quite a few $1,000s. It's sudden and it's unexpected. That's how clients and prospects and business owners think. Insurance is to protect against catastrophic, sudden, unexpected events, period. So what's a benefit plan? Well, a benefit plan is a promise. It's a promise to a group of employees. It's a promise between the employer and the employees. Promise is such a powerful word. I don't think we use it enough in our business, but promise is such a powerful word. When you think about promise, you think about a bond. You think about an oath. You think about a vow. You know, my son Rob is getting married in September 14th, and it's a vow that he's taking. My wife and I had our 34th wedding anniversary on Sunday, and it was a vow that we took 34 years ago, right? A promise is a vow, a guarantee, a contract. These are all big words. They're powerful, powerful words. So a benefit plan is a promise between an employer and a group of employees. That might be one employee, it might be 10 employees, it might be 1,000 employees. It doesn't matter. It's a promise between that employer and the employees. So when we combine that word promise and we combine risk tolerance, when a client looks at the promise they're making their employees, what could happen that would be catastrophic, sudden, and unexpected? Well, I'm making someone a promise that their named beneficiary, if they die, is going to get $25,000 or 2 times their earnings or whatever it is. That's catastrophic because I don't really want to pay out. If I'm making all the employees a promise, I don't want to pay out $25,000 or $50,000 or $150,000. That's a promise I make. Yeah, that's something I want to insure because it would certainly be catastrophic. Catastrophic is dollars. It would certainly be sudden, and it would definitely be unexpected. Well, if I made someone a promise that I'm going to continue their paycheck without any output, and they're 30 years old, and Jordan who's on the call here, Jordan's under 30 years old, I've made him a promise that if he can't come to work, yeah, I'm going to continue his paycheck till he's 65. Yeah, that would be catastrophic because Jordan makes, I don't know, $300,000 or $400,000 a year doing what he does. It's crazy. But anyways, if someone gets a critical illness, yeah, that's catastrophic, sudden and unexpected, right? If they get sick or injured in a foreign country, right? Yeah, absolutely. I want to cover their medical expenses, but that could be catastrophic. We all hear the horror stories about what happens when you're in Florida and you have a heart attack. It's crazy. Yeah, if I have a large drug claim, if I get diagnosed with MS or Parkinson's and all of a sudden need a significant amount of medication, yeah, that could be considered catastrophic, sudden, and unexpected. A small drug claim. Well, hey, I take, drugs for cholesterol management. I'm going to take one tonight, as a matter of fact. Is that catastrophic, sudden, or unexpected? Absolutely not. It's pennies. Trip to the dentist. I've got to go to the dentist actually in the next couple of weeks, right? Yeah, it's going to be $200. It's going to be $300. Is that considered catastrophic? Absolutely not. Is it sudden? No. Is it unexpected? No, I go every 6 months. A chiro adjustment, physio adjustment, new glasses, CPAP machine. Are these things catastrophic, sudden, or unexpected? Most likely not. So when you explain this to the clients and these catastrophic things that we've discussed, just very simply on this page, those represent generally 30% of the benefit promise costs. 30%. 70% are made up by these small things that are not catastrophic. They don't require insurance. It's as simple as that. So when you have a real conversation about risk tolerance with your clients and prospects, again, a real conversation, you're going to be surprised with the outcome. Most clients are upset when they pay too much. When they pay too much. Most clients are upset about that. I'm upset about that when I find out that I pay too much for something. And I've been doing this for so many years, and you hear in these conversations with advisors, good renewal and bad renewal. It makes my skin crawl. It's nails on the chalkboard. A broker or an advisor walks in and says, hey, good news. I've got a really good renewal for you. Your costs are going to stay the same, or they're only going to go up by 1%, right? That's not a good renewal. They've paid too much. They've paid significantly too much, right? Anyways, we're going to come to that in some, what's the word I'm looking for? Case studies that we're going to go on. Myths and misconceptions. Well, ASO, fluctuations in monthly contributions. Well, not with us, because we provide a budgeted ASO solution. Same amount they pay every single day or every single month, pardon me, and it only fluctuates as the population fluctuates with the company. Size matters. I've heard this my entire career. Size matters in the sense of don't go down the dark path there, everybody. Okay, size matters. Oh yeah, we don't do ASO for under 100 employees. We don't do ASO for under 50 employees. When I first started, it was under 100 or 250 or whatever the number was. And I remember talking to Great West Life, that's how long ago it was, a company that doesn't exist anymore. And they did not provide ASO solutions for under 200 employees or 150 employees or whatever it was. And I remember asking someone about it. And you just got wishy-washy answers, but not a real answer. So size matters. No, it doesn't. Large claims mean large deficits. No, there's appropriate insurance protection that you can put in place. No risk protection. There's a ton of risk protection you can put in place, either through things like stop loss insurance or plan design. You can't do cost sharing with employees. Why not? You certainly can, because it's a budgeted ASO solution. It's a budgeted ASO rate. Continued myths and misconceptions. Claim experience is not stable. Therefore, it's not a good candidate for ASO. Why? It's not stable. Okay. Generally speaking, in smaller employers, the reason why claim experience is not stable is because they've either got a high turnover of people, or it's the executive, the business owner's claims, right? So it's about adjusting the plan design appropriately and understanding why it's not stable. But there's ways around that, without a doubt. No cost controls with TPAs. They just pay for everything. It's not the case. We've probably got more cost controls than insurance companies do. Matter of fact, I know we've got more cost controls in place than insurance companies do. And again, we can spend days on this. No farmer controls, no special authorization. Absolutely, that's not the case. We've been dealing with Claim Secure for 30 years, and we use their special authorization. And the same thing, we've got the same special authorization that Air Canada uses. With TPAs, there's no monitoring or auditing to prevent fraud. I think there's more auditing that we have in place to prevent fraud than the major insurance companies. Major insurance companies talk about fraud. They talk about fraud in their aggregate over the last 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. I remember going to a fraud prevention seminar that they put on, and the insurance companies are up there, and they were talking about how they recognized fraud from 3 years ago. Did they do anything about it? Absolutely not. Right? That was fraud from 3 years ago. We monitor things on a daily basis. All right. Is a TPA a real business, or is it a basement dweller with some spreadsheet? Well, some Excel spreadsheet. We're not a basement dweller. Most TPAs are not basement dwellers, right? The fact of the matter is, the real businesses, we've been ourselves personally, we've been in business for over 30 years, 30 plus employees. And I'm willing to bet, and when I was putting this presentation together, I'm willing to, and I haven't quantified this in any way, but I'm probably low on my estimation, but I'm willing to bet over those 30 years, we've paid well over $1 billion in claims. Billion with a B, right? So monthly financial reporting. Monthly financial reporting is critical, I think. And it's not about having access to the monthly financial reporting. It's about having the monthly financial reporting. It's about giving it to the client on a monthly basis, giving it to you, the advisor, on a monthly basis. I don't expect you to look at this report. This is just a sample report, but we provide this every single month to every single client. It's transparent. It allows you as the advisor and the client to keep their finger on the pulse and never, ever deliver a bad renewal again. Again, bad renewals, good renewals, nails on the chalkboard, right? But this client knows exactly, if I can, blow it up a bit. This client is sitting there and they know this is the first column is month actual. The second column is year-to-date cumulative. The third column is previous year-to-date cumulative, pardon me. They know that they're sitting there with a $9,000 surplus in their account. Let me just put it back to normal. $9,000 surplus in their account on a $7,000 a month contribution. So they know that they're doing bad, or they know that they're doing well, but they're not surprised. Bad means surprise. Think about it. A bad renewal, you're delivering a bad renewal. It's because the client is caught off guard. Clients are never, ever, ever caught off guard with us. They know exactly what's going on. The majority of conversations we have around renewals are moments, minutes. Clients know exactly what their financial position is. It's easy to keep their finger on the pulse. It's never, ever deliver a bad renewal again. I hate that word. I think it's just awful. Again, a bad renewal. Anytime you hear that in the future, at any one of these sessions, anytime, right? Think about it differently. Bad renewal means they are not prepared. Bad renewal means the client is not prepared for what's going to happen. Why are they not prepared? Because they don't have the information. Or why isn't my thing advancing? There we go. Plan design flexibility. Executive plans, like I mentioned earlier, executive plans, 100% reimbursement for all medical and dental expenses. No deductibles, no co-insurances. You've heard me talk about this in the past, I'm sure. Glasses, $600 a pair. I bought 3 pair because I want a pair for my office, I want a pair for my home office, and I want a pair for my briefcase, right? It's covered under my benefit plan, my budgeted ASO benefit plan. Yes, my claims fluctuated, so I'm not a good candidate. Guess what? I'm a real good candidate, right? I'm a real good candidate. my claims fluctuated by $1,800 in that particular year. Guess what? I just paid for my glasses through my company with tax deductible dollars as opposed to an after tax dollars. Groups within the group, you know, I don't care if you've got 10 employees or 110 employees, there are different groups within the group. You can set up a benefit plan accordingly. Hybrid plans are becoming very, very popular, especially with companies that want to reward longevity. You know, clients are putting in things like saying, here's a base plan, and we're going to put in a healthcare spending account, but we're going to set that healthcare spending account based on longevity in the company. Anyone less than 10 years that gets this, or anybody less than 5 years gets this. Anybody more than 10 years gets that. Anybody, you know, it's an accelerated amount. It depends on what the client wants, right? But my point is, and we've spent lots of time talking about in previous sessions, talking about plan design flexibility. ASO creates the foundation for ultimate plan design flexibility. Insurance companies with their rigid systems cannot provide the plan design flexibility that we can and other TPAs can. It's as simple as that. It can't be done, right? The result is your client and your prospect now has the freedom to promise what makes most sense for them. You think about that. When you look at risk tolerance, when you look at the myths and misconceptions, when you look at the results of real conversations with your client and they understand it, then all of a sudden this weight comes off their shoulder and they realize they now have the freedom to promise whatever it is that makes sense for them. They realize that they can protect the promise and budget for the promise, knowing that they've never overpaid or underpaid. Once they understand, this is easy for a long-term relationship. It's simple for a long-term relationship. Less marketing in the plan, more stability for the client. Thin files for you, thin files. Do you know the difference between a thin file and a thick file? A thin file is profitable, thick ones aren't. Think about that, right? It's more profitable for you. Again, once they understand this, there's this relief that comes off their shoulders. They get off this treadmill. They never have to think about it again. They know they are paying the right amount. More importantly, they know they have the right promise for their company in the long term, and it's more profitable for you. Does ASO work? Absolutely, especially in the long term. So we've got a half an hour. I want to went through that pretty quick. Does anybody have any questions before we jump on some case studies here? Anybody have any questions? Anybody? Hello? Okay, we're going to send out a survey. Okay, we're going to send out a survey and we want feedback. And when someone says in that survey, there's not enough interaction, well, no one's spoken up. Okay, anybody have any thoughts, ideas? Anybody? Okay, I can't see everybody, but all right. Let's move on. Oh, Anthony's jumping back in. Any thoughts and ideas?
I'm going to jump back in just to play devil's
Please.
advocate with you. I just put in the chat about two groups, both of which, one of them I showed in my presentation, that 20 plus year relationships with the insurer, never once marketed. And I'm going to tell you that, not marketed ever. So I'm a bad consultant, definitely. There's no doubt. But good relationships, one of them I'm just going to renew now. And do we talk ASO? Yes, we talk ASO. And yes, much more profitable ASO. But in both cases, under 50 lives, 40 to 50, and less than, and I still have negotiated 3.5% increases per year on average. They've never had a claimant over 10,000, so that's good. But I'm just showing you, and you know what? Am I doing it right? Maybe not. But, you know, and you were saying about the calculations, this is really what I try to instill in my presentation. The client has to have confidence that you're doing the best for them. And that doesn't mean marketing. I mean, agreed. I'm moving a case because, yeah, there are some reasons, and they got a bad renewal, and if the spread was still, but it was with the same insurer for 10 years. And I just said, let's run for a couple of years. You know, let's hope that this was a blip. So, you know, I'm just making the comment, and you're absolutely right, Rob. I'm not going to argue with you because it's a losing man's game. There's no doubt. So you're right on everything you say, but you know what? If I have to market every case every 2 years, you know what? Well, I'm already a mess. I can just imagine how bad it would be. Just
that's
trying to move a case to hell that I go through every time. It's no fun. But
absolutely.
go on.
No, Anthony, first of all, thank you. Thank you for jumping in. I really appreciate that. And a couple of comments. One thing that you do extraordinarily well is you know your clients. And that's the point I'm making.
KYC.
Yeah, that's the point I'm making. You know your clients extraordinarily well. You know their risk tolerance level. You've had the discussion about ASO. They're aware of the pros and cons. They're aware of what is going on. The thing that I liked about your comment is, it's been with the same carrier for many, many years. People don't understand the cost necessarily of moving every 2 years or every 3 years. What I'm projecting here is people that are advisors that are moving cases every 2 years or shopping every 2 years, because I think clients, or every 3 years or whatever it is, because clients are getting tired. Clients are just getting tired because there's a huge cost to moving. Even though insurance companies and TPAs have made it easier, there's still a huge cost to moving. There's an emotional cost and there's an actual cost. And often that emotional cost is undervalued and it becomes quite cumbersome. And what you are saying, makes sense most of the time, some of the time, but, financially, I don't know. I'd have to look at the case, right? But a 3% increase every year, Anthony, when healthcare insurance is increasing.
We know.
15%.
I admit.
Yeah.
Huge profits down the toilet, but it's something that is discussed all the time.
And again, if the client,
who are you answering to?
Yeah, you're answering to the client, and if the client is okay with that, the client is okay with that.
Well, who's the client answering to? Are you dealing with HR? Are you dealing with the owner?
Yeah.
Does the owner fully understand how old are the employees? Are they reaching retirement where there's going to be, there's a whole lot of things. And as I said, first and foremost, Rob is 100% right.
Yep. Thanks.
But I'm saying there's, if you do your job properly, you can be insured.
Absolutely.
Not even go to market. That's
Absolutely.
what I'm saying. It is done.
Okay, here's thanks, Anthony.
Let me quadrupling bothers me. Okay, go.
Let me jump into this. 32 life case, life AD&D, DEP life, LTD, stop loss, out of country, EAP program, medical, dental, healthcare spending account. Clients frustrated with the increases at renewal every single year. Every single year, he that's not this guy, but this is the bad news in a suit. Bad news in a suit. Okay, so we're going to go through this relatively quickly, and these are usually on one page, but I separated them into three just to go through it. Sample Company Inc. What we are doing is, and again, we can send these to you if you like, but here's a case, and this was March 1st, 2023, right? We've done a comparison, and our insured costs, catastrophic insurance costs, are actually higher. They're higher. Their current costs are $478 or $1,600 for a difference of $1,100 a month. The reason is we are putting the large amount pooling or the stop loss into the catastrophic event insurance because that's what it is. And we're putting the out of country and travel assist into the catastrophic event insurance component because that's what it is. And we're also putting the service, in this case, Akira, which it was in 2023, I believe, or just changed over to TELUS. So we're putting in that TELUS service as well into the catastrophic event insurance section. The next page is our health and dental contributions and the healthcare spending account based on their promise. So our costs are coming in considerably less. Our budgeted costs are coming in considerably less than the insurance company's renewal costs, considerably less. And as a result of this, and the healthcare spending account is the healthcare spending account, but these costs are considerably less. And again, these make up a lot of the costs of the benefit plan, and that results in a overall 14% decrease, or almost 15% decrease, or $23,000 a year. So all of a sudden, we're looking at the same benefit plan, same promise that the employer is making, and our costs are considerably less. Okay, but hold on a second, how come our health and dental costs are so much less? So I want to show you this approach. I want to walk through it in detail, right? I want to show you this approach and how we come up with our costs, and tell me where I'm wrong. Okay. So again, we've got 32 people in the case. There are 11 single and 21 family, right? So we take the extended healthcare claims. Oh, pardon me, go back. We take the extended healthcare claims. Claims for 2023, 2024, the 12-month period that we received this information from the renewal report that the client sent the advisor, and the advisor sent us. Taken right out of the report, their claims for that period, their health claims for that period were $28,856. Simple. So we're going to inflate those. So we're saying that's what they were last year. Next year, we think it's prudent to inflate them for medical inflation and trend. We're saying in this case 7.5%. So that inflates the $28,000 by $2,160 for $64 for a total of $31,020. So we can discuss that inflation factor. Should it be more? Should it be less? It depends, right? In this case, we're using 7.5%. If we want to change it, it's a simple change. So the projected claims for the next year's promise are $31,020. Projected health claims are $31,020. Then we're going to add in 16% administration and service fees. I'm going to get to that in a moment. 16% administration and service fees. So that is $5,908.61. So great. So we've got $31,000 in anticipated claims plus the $5,900 in expenses, right? So therefore, we need to collect $36,928.81. Okay, that's great. So, but we're not going to collect that. The company's not going to write us a check. They've got 32 employees, and they're not going to write us a check for $36,000 because that population might change throughout the year. So we want to do it on a monthly basis. So we divide that $36,000 by by 12, pardon me, every single month, and we come up with $3,077.40. $3,077.40. Great. So what we want to do now is we want to take that $3,000 number and we want to break it down to single family. So we want to know how many people are covered in a family. So we use a factor of 2.7. There's 2.7 people in every single family. Well, historically, I used to have 5 people covered under our plan. And then, Rob got too old and he jumped off the plan and then, finished school and so on. Greg, my middle son, got too old and jumped off the plan and, finished school. And my young son, Sam, jumped off the plan because he finished school and he's out on his own. So all of a sudden, my family's gone from 5 to 2. But we say an average is 2.7. There's 2.7 people in every family. We can argue that. We can say it should be higher, it should be lower. It doesn't matter. It's 2.7. That's what we're using. So we multiply the 2.7 times the 21 family people to come up with 56.7 people that are covered. And then we add in the single people, 11. So that's 67.7 people. And then we divide $3,077.40 by 67.7 people. There's 67.7 people we are projecting that are going to be covered under this benefit plan. So if we have a cost for each person that's covered under that benefit plan, it would be $45.46. Then to come up with the family rate, we multiply it again by that 2.7, and we come up with $122.73. So to pay for that $36,928.81, an appropriate budget would be $45 for every single person, and $122 for every family person. Makes sense? It's a mathematical exercise, as simple as that. We do the same with the dental. We're using a slightly different inflation and trend factor. Again, can be changed at any time. We're using that same administration and service fees, right? Again, we're going to discuss that in a moment. We multiply, we divide, etc., and we come up with the rates of 43, 183, or 118, right? It's just, again, simple math. To continue the promise, and we're inflating it, to continue the promise the way it is, that is the rates that we've come up with. The results were the advisor wanted a flat 6% commission. We charged, in this case, we charged 10% to provide our administration services and our adjudication services and our booklets and our cards, all inclusive. Everything that we do, we were charging the 10%. The advisor wanted a 6% commission, flat 6% on all lines of benefits. That's why we chose that 16% administration fee. As I mentioned, our costs going through this process were the suggested deposits going through this process were 14.9% compared to the renewal with the insurance company. The owner liked that. They added 100% unlimited class for the owner and his family. So again, back to the glasses, 100% of everything. And the advisor has a new client. Fantastic. 22 life case. And this case, 22 life case. And this case is, total premium on this case is $135,000 a year. Now, the interesting thing is the old advisor said, you're too small for a budgeted ASO solution. Client was upset because he took an interview with somebody else. He was upset for some reason because he wasn't, like I said earlier, he was upset at insurance companies paying for things that he didn't get. He was upset because he was paying for too much. He was upset because he didn't understand the math. He was upset for a whole bunch of reasons, right? This proposal resulted in adding that 100% class was the real clincher. He understood that it was a tax play, not necessarily a benefit play. And it worked out that the advisor got a new client as a result of it. Here's a different case. Case study number 2, 69 life case, life AD&D, all of the bells and whistles, as you would imagine. Medical and dental. The advisor wanted to introduce ASO before somebody else did on this particular case, right? This is a great case, but he wanted to introduce ASO before somebody else did. I guess he was listening to us, right? So again, case study number, there we go. Case study number 2, we're going to go through this a little bit quicker because of time, but you get the process. We're moving the insurance where the insurance needs to be. Our insurance costs are more because we're moving the stop loss and the out of country up into the catastrophic insurance realm. Everything else is the same, the life, the AD&D, the DEP life, the long-term disability, etc. We're just quoting that as the same right now. If we can get it cheaper, we certainly will, but it won't be more expensive. We can guarantee that. So the cost of the insurance is increasing. Then our budgeted rates, right? We do the same mathematical process and we come up with these particular rates, right? We add it in, and again, this is always on one page, but I've broken it up on 3 pages for the purposes of today's presentation. We add it in, and what happens? Well, geez, there's no real change. Put the insurance component up where the insurance should be. We do our ASO calculation. We put it all on one, and we're saying, really, there's a 0.1% difference. No change. Yeah, this is underwritten very well. The cost of this plan is where the cost of this plan should be. We're looking at $336 a year in projected savings for a 69-person case. Yeah, this isn't going anywhere. So we thought. This isn't going anywhere. The client wanted to see this. The advisor showed this to them before somebody else did. Right? So we've gone through this math before, but look at this. We used a lower administration fee, right? Or lower inflation rate, but look at this. We used a significantly higher administration fee. Why is that? Same thing, again, the same mathematical exercise, right? The same mathematical exercise. And I think our underwriting department used this because they probably had 3 years of claims experience and they used this because it was pretty flat. In other words, that $84,000 was pretty flat. But the 20% is something that jumped off the page. And it's why I chose this particular case to show you, again, the same type of thing. Again, that 20% health and dental care cost. Wow, what is going on here? Well, the advisor wants a flat 10% commission. He goes, I don't care. This is what my cost is. I'm upfront with it. This is what I charge. Client doesn't like it. Client can go somewhere else. This was his existing client. Flat 10% commission is what he was getting. He wanted. The owner loved the monthly reporting, loved what we showed him. And we said, we send this to you every single month. Right? You just look at the bottom line, you know exactly where you are. The owner loved the 100% unlimited plan, hates cost plus, pain in the ass. I love it. Touch it once, submit the claim, it's done. You know, we've got an app for your phone, you take a picture of it, it's done. The owner wanted off the renewal treadmill. He wanted off the renewal. You mean I don't have to do this every single year? You know, my life insurance rates might change slightly, but that's it. Yeah. I'm going to get these reports every single month. Yeah. Right. Guess what? Client moved over to an ASO solution, got off the treadmill. The advisor kept the client. The advisor thought, no way this is going to change. And it changed. Right. Because all of a sudden, the client is looking at some of the advantages of this, understood that 100% unlimited plan that we've talked about, understood the value of it, right? And he actually the costs went up, or we're predicting the costs are going to go up because of the 100% unlimited plan. The owner is going to start racking things through, and that's great, right? That's great. So great situation. It was an interesting result. The advisor said, I can't believe that the client is moving. I said, I absolutely can't believe the client is moving. Case study number 3. Here's a case, Anthony, back to your earlier points, right? This is a standard plan. The advisor says, I shop every case every 2 years. That's what I do. That's his value that he brings to his clients. He says to his clients, I'm going to work for you, and I'm going to work hard for you, and I'm going to shop your case every 2 years, and you're going to have the lowest price that you can always have. So he was in the second year of this 24-month rate guarantee when he brought this case to us. This is the first time presenting ASO to a client, and this particular individual charges 12% commissions. Okay, 12% commissions, 22 lives, right? It's a pretty rich plan for 12%, in my opinion, but that's what he charges, and I'm fine with it. Great. Cost of our insurance went up, and again, this is the second year of a rate guarantee, right? Our costs on the health are down slightly. Our budgeted costs on the health are down slightly. They're actually up quite a bit on the dental side, especially the family dental side. They're pretty flat on the single, but up on the family dental side, right? For overall 6.1% difference. So we would be charging 6.1% more than what they are presently paying, right? And again, the client wanted to see this, or sorry, the advisor wanted to show the client what a great job he was doing in this 24-month rate guarantee and how he shops the market every 2 years. So he just proved it. In his opinion, he just proved it. We go through the math. And again, we're saying, hey, he's charging 12%. We're going to charge 12%. We're going to show them what it is, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Multiply, divide, and we come up with our rates. Nothing magical there. I see you're looking at it really closely, Anthony. You can question? Yes, sir.
No, I'm not looking at that close, Rob, but I am again going to say, what was I going to say? You know what? I always tell consultants how you react when someone says, we're going to shop every 2 years. And I said, is your product shopped every 2 years? What are your relationships? If your supplier said every 2 years, you know, who cares? We're going to rip it up and you're going to have to drop your pants or you're gone.
Yep.
How would, you know, you just ask them that question. Most clients, you know what? The brokers who get business like this, all the power to them. Those aren't the clients I want. And, you know, I hope the majority here those aren't the clients they want.
I agree. I agree, Anthony. Thank you very much. And the sessions that we're doing in July and August, we're going to ask that. It's about great questions to ask. And that was one of the questions, or a theme of one of the questions that I've got. So
you have the best question. Sorry. That's my one question that I'm good at.
Brianne,
go.
Quickly about the ASO, that it said 24% for both dental and extended healthcare.
Yeah.
So was that an increase from his previous?
No, we don't compare to his previous, right? And thanks for the question. He was just charging a 12% flat commissions. We said, hey, we're not going to get this case. It's in a 2-year rate guarantee, and this is what this guy does every single year. He shops the market every 2 years. We said we're going to pad our administration fees as well. See what happens. Okay. but it's not an increase. He was charging 12%. It's probably less than what the insurance company's charging in this particular case. They probably have a TLR of, probably 70%, right? Versus our 24. So
That
anyways,
makes sense. Thanks.
so in this particular case, and we're just going through this quickly on time, but the advisor kept the client, right? But what was interesting is he was highlighting that shopping every 2 years makes sense to the client, right? He was saying that this makes sense to the client. Shopping every 2 years makes sense. And this is how the advisor was adding value for the client. And the advisor shared the ASO results, so no one else would. He wanted to protect himself against no one else would. And the owner wants the advisor to shop ASO next year when the 2-year rate guarantee is up, when he gets his next renewal. And he goes, well, I'm going to shop this. But it was interesting because I was involved in this particular meeting, and I don't know if the client and him are seeing eye to eye on a lot of things. He was just saying that this is what his approach was, and he used it as a badge of honor. He used it as a badge of honor. This is how I create value, is making sure that you have the lowest price. But the client was sort of understanding what it is our approach was, and he was understanding that maybe this is a better approach in the long term. But he said, the results are good this year. I don't want to make any changes. See what happens in the future? Who knows, right? But again, back to Anthony's point, it's just something, that you want to do. David, I'm going to get to you in 1 second, or let's get to you right now real quick, because we got just a few moments.
Yeah. Okay. So one question and concern I have is, claims, health, the health and the dental and stuff, they are what they are on the report. The one question and concern I have for you is on the stuff, the insurance, pooled stuff, the stop loss insurance. Yeah. That's probably one of the most important things in the plan. Catastrophic. I'm concerned about the trend and what's going to go on and what you think, because that's probably the most expensive insurance in the pooled insurance, and there's only so many carriers. That's the thing where I'm worried about the future, because that's, as I said, the most expensive insurance. And where do you think that's going?
That's a great question, and we're going to continue on a little bit after 11, and maybe we can have that discussion then. But I think it's going to continue to rise with insurance companies, and we're seeing our costs fairly stable for a number of reasons. But we can discuss. Let's discuss those after 11. We've got 2 minutes left here, because I know some people have to leave.
Okay.
So you got to ask the right questions to your client and prospect. It's important to ask the right questions. It's important to take the time to educate them, as opposed to, hey, I'm going to save you some money. We can do this calculation very quickly. Our underwriting department, as I say, is overpaid and underworked. We can do this calculation very quickly for you. And our attitude is do it before somebody else does. It's as simple as that. Like, it's easy for us to do this calculation, like, extremely quickly. We're going to get back to you very quickly, but it's something to look at. But it's more importantly, it's a philosophical decision that you have to make as an advisor, but it's a philosophical decision that a client needs to make based on their experience, based on what their needs are, based on their long-term outlook versus a short-term outlook. Because it's important for them to have the right plan at the right time for the right employees. That's what's most important. Then comes the funding method, right? We're going to do some more sessions on July 10th, July 17th, and August 13th. Recognizing opportunities in group insurance, the top 10 questions you must ask. Check those out. Visit our website, thebenefitstrust.com. We're going to stick around for a few minutes afterwards so that we can continue this conversation that David brought up, as well as other conversations and ideas. I know some of you have to leave. We want to take this opportunity on behalf of all of us at the Benefits Trust to thank you for your time. Greatly appreciate it. Hey, folks, we're going to send you a CE credit. Mike's going to send that out right away. Number one. Number two, we are going to send you a copy of, or you're going to sign up for our regular monthly newsletter, The Trusted Advisor, 130 months in a row or more. As well as that, you are going to be getting a very short survey. Fill it out. This topic today was because of feedback we received from you. Tell us how we did today. Tell us how we can do it better tomorrow. Tell us what you'd like to see in future sessions. Greatly appreciate your time. And again, thank you all very much for attending. Rob, let's stop recording.